And at the same time, relations between the imperialist powers are becoming ever more tense, particularly between the United States and Russia. Russia has angrily denounced the United States' plan to build a missile defense shield in Eastern Europe and has resisted U.S. efforts to place UN sanctions on Iran. And needless to say, the entire world's population is facing some very big problems right now, and there are no easy solutions. I wish there were. I truly do. But if there's one lesson for the anti-war movement to draw from its experiences over the past 4.5 years, it's that simply coming to these demonstrations is not enough. If you accept that, you then have to ask yourself, why haven't these protests done anything to change government policy? I thought we lived in a democracy where the will of the people determines government policy. It is becoming increasingly clear, however, that this is just not true. The state is not a neutral institution. It is a bourgeois state and is controlled by the economic elite. This is best demonstrated in the United States, where, as you all know, there are basically two parties, the Republicans and Democrats. And everyone knows the Republicans are a party of big business. But so too are the Democrats. Both Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama have received tens of millions of dollars from corporate donors for their presidential campaigns. They both also support the war on terror and have pledged to use force in order to assert the interests of U.S. big business. Moreover, their denunciations of the Bush administration's conduct in the war in Iraq are centered on the claim that they are using the wrong tactics, not that the war itself is wrong. The vast anti-war sentiment within the U.S. working class finds no expression within the current political framework within the United States. They have effectively been disenfranchised. What is needed, above all else, is the construction of a political party that embodies the objective interests of the working class and which will fight for political power. A party that recognizes the root of society's problems, not just the eruption of U.S. militarism, but the growing levels of social inequality and attack on democratic rights as well. All three of these problems are rooted in the logic of the capitalist system itself. The Socialist Equality Party, along with its student branch, the ISSE, aims to provide the political leadership necessary, the political leadership the international working class so desperately needs. We're not a national party, but an international one, with sections in many different countries. We also run a website whose readership is rising rapidly, and I urge you all to check it out. It's wsws.org. That's wsws.org. And if what I'm saying makes sense to any of you, and would like to hear more about the perspective of the Socialist Equality Party, I urge you to come to the ISSE's first meeting of the year here in Fredericton. It's taking place this Thursday, November 1st at 7 p.m. At UNB in Tilly Hall, room 222. So that's this Thursday, November 1st, 7 p.m., Tilly, room 222. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Carol Ferguson from the New Democratic Party. She's Vice President of the local riding executive here. She's really great.
Thanks for that. I'm very pleased to be here with you today representing the Fredericton Federal Riding Association of the New Democratic Party of Canada as we join with Canadians across the country to say it's time to stop the bloodshed. It's time to stop the bloodshed of Canadian troops. It's time to stop the bloodshed of the people of Afghanistan. We are engaged in a counter-insurgency mission. Our troops are being sent on search and destroy missions with and for the United States. This is not a humanitarian mission. This is not peacekeeping. The cost to our country is very high. 71 Canadian soldiers and 1 diplomat have been killed since the Canadian military deployed to Afghanistan in early 2002. Hundreds of Canadian soldiers have been physically injured or are coping with the problems of post-traumatic stress. Kandahar is taking an enormous toll on the men and women of the Canadian Forces and their families. And what of the financial cost to our country? By the end of this fiscal year, Canada will have spent $7.2 billion on the full cost of the military missions in or related to Afghanistan. $7 billion. We can't afford health care, we can't afford child care, but we can afford to spend $7.2 billion on this outrageous military exercise. We are now the 13th largest military spender in the world. That's not a peacekeeping nation, that's a military nation. The cost to the reputation of our country is high because our actions in Afghanistan with respect to the transfer and treatment of detainees have breached the Geneva Conventions and the 1984 Torture Convention. We have blood on our hands. And what has been the cost to the people of Afghanistan? Well, the people of Afghanistan don't have peace. They do not have justice. They don't even have electricity, health care, food. They're not feeling secure. Their life expectancy is declining, not increasing. And saddest of all, many of them are losing hope that they will ever have their country back. Thanks to the military, financial, and diplomatic efforts of the American, Canadian, and other NATO member states, many of Afghanistan's most violent and dreaded terrorists are now back in power, running the country's government. Today, at the rally in Vancouver, Afghani member